In this video, I want to talk just a little bit about how to navigate in the Lalima site and how to use Google Classroom. I'm assuming you all know how to use Lalima. That's not the purpose of this video. The purpose of this video is to, um, basically get you to every professor does things a little differently. And, you know, the point of this is just to show you how I've tried to organize things. Okay. Um, so I'll use Lalima primarily for storing the course materials and for the announcements. So let's talk about how to do that all here. So obviously you can read announcements. Usually, if this is like a semester long course, I make this part look all pretty and stuff, but I'm not being, I guess I am being lazy. I was going to say, I'm not being lazy, but I kind of am. Um, we don't need all the pizzazz. It's 6 weeks. Let's learn the material here. Um, so what you'll see here is you're not going to use almost any of these links here, with the exception of start here, because in start here you would find the syllabus and things like that in this video and other things. What you're going to do is you're going to really just focus on each of the chapters here. That's really what you're focusing on. So for each of the chapters, I tried to organize it in the same way. That same way is um, that you um, have a kind of a checklist so that you make sure you're doing everything you need to do for that chapter. You've then got the textbook chapter that you would then be able to read. And if you don't like looking at it in here, obviously you can click right here and that would download the PDF to your computer for you to be able to read on your own. And then for the first few chapters, I had made it as like an audio lecture, so kind of like a podcast. So you'll just hear me talking. You can also download it by clicking on the three little circles, and then you could hit download. And then I made for those where I had an audio lecture, I kind of made a one pager that basically summarized some of the key points from that chapter, kind of a cliff notes for each chapter. Now, last summer was the first summer I'd ever taught this course. By later chapters, um, you still see the checklist, you still see the chapter, but students had asked last summer for something different. And now, since I made these lectures last summer, we're kind of stuck still doing it. So I'm sorry for the bit of the change here. But students also found this pretty helpful. What I did is I kind of made a PowerPoint and then basically made a lecture based on me talking about those slides. And so then you would be able to download the slides here and then watch the video over here of me talking about it. And you can obviously, this is in YouTube. If you click on YouTube here, it pops it out and it puts it in its own um, video, its own window. And so there's a lecture for each of the chapters. You've got the reading here, and that kind of gives you your resources you need for each of the chapters. Now, Lalima is only part of what you need for this course, because you could look at this and then be like, well, dude, how do I submit anything? How do I see the reflection papers? How do I see the exams? Because remember, I'm doing those in Google Classroom. So let's just close out of this here. And let's just start from the very beginning. So what you would do is type in classroom.google.com. Now, the first time you do it, for me, when I usually type it in my computer, and this is good as an example in showing you this, it's using my personal account. Well, now I guess you know my personal email account, but in your personal email account, Google Classroom doesn't exist. you would need to use your hawaii.edu email address. So in Google, you would type in classroom.google.com, then go to the icon in the upper right hand corner, and then make sure you are logged into your Google account that's linked through your hawaii.edu account. Now, when I do it, classes are going to show up, but they're not going to for you. It's going to be blank. And so what you're going to do then is click this little plus symbol right here, and you're going to click join a class. Now, you're going to need to know the class code. I don't remember what the class code is. The class code is right here. Type in U55KIQN. U55KIQN. And when you do that, this course is going to show up. It's not going to look exactly like this because this is what it looks like for me, where I have grades and things like that. But the idea is, look how easy this looks to navigate. This looks pretty easy, and if you ask me. You've got your introduction here. Now, things that you write. Sorry, this is going to show up as for me. There's two part when you click on an assignment, because obviously I'm not a student, you're a student. When you click on it, it's going to have the assignment, and this is basically the assignment. And it's going to have two parts. It's going to have it where you can submit something, and then it's going to have it as a class comment. You want to submit it, not a class comment, unless you really want to share with everyone who you are. But at the same time, there's not really a point to introducing yourself to everyone since there is no discussion boards and there's no need to introduce yourself to everyone unless you really want to, unless you're just that kind of person in personality. You really only have to introduce yourself to me. So, write a Google Doc or a Word doc or a PDF. Google Classroom takes them all. And then upload that document. And then I grade it. And then for each of the remaining chapters, what you would do is you would see here, we've got the one that's due on May 29th, the very first one, and then the other two that are June 6th. But what you can see is that basically the instructions are read the attachment for the topic. You would click on it, and there is the topic. Okay, so you're going to read this. And then once you read it, you're then going to write something. You're going to basically respond to the questions that I have about it. And as you do that, you're then going to submit that document, and you're going to do it for the first one earlier than you are for the others so that I can then guide you of how to do it correctly if you're not doing it correctly. So you've got the reflection papers here. Again, each of them everything is already posted. And then you've got your exams, where I also give you instructions. And there is the course in Google Classroom. I will be grading things in here, so grades aren't really going to be stored in Laulima. Your grades are really going to be housed here in Google Classroom. Okay. That's really it. That's all I have to say about how to navigate this class in terms of Laulima and in terms of Google Classroom.